Good, so what we've got is we've got three combinations effectively, right? And if you ever get the chance to train with Frank Wintertai, he had this wonderful sort of set of things that he taught, and this is not, this one that I'm doing with you today I made up, but stealing his theme. Does that make sense? So this was made by me having a shower this morning, and oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can tie these together, right? But it's stealing the concept from Frank. And what this is that you want to apply this to three separate individuals that are in front of you. Kata's about fighting multiple opponents. So can we use these three segments that we've done today with Heian Yondan? And again, I picked at random the three segments I wanted to do because there's lots of other things that you may or may not be thinking about within them, right, for very simple movements. Can we use that now to fight against three people? Boom, 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 right, in a classic Hollywood scene. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do it from a free sparring sense. Okay, so from here I'm going to do it facing away because there's going to be goofy turns and goofy angles. So I'm going to do it with my back to you, so I won't be able to see you. I just have to take it on faith that you're doing it with me. Does that make sense? We'll move slow, we'll move relaxed, but the combinations and the leg work in theory, unless I've messed up, which I could have, this is only about an hour old, right? So this is still thought process for me. But let's do it together and see how it works. Okay? Okay, so from here, just make command. It's like, oh my goodness, I've got opponents coming in. I am terrified. First person comes in straight off the center. We've got one here, one here, one here maybe. We'll see if that works in reality. I may change that up. But three people effectively. First one comes in straight on. You're like, holy crap, someone's coming in and attacking me straight on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply cut an angle this way, rotate, make the block, and counter like so. Then step in, boom, throw them over, bang, right, knock out that leg. They've fallen right here. From here, step and turn. Next person's coming in. They're going to come in this particular case, from an angle about here, this sort of position. So what I may need to do is I may need to adjust by pulling back and kicking. I may need to adjust by stepping in and kicking. I may not need to adjust at all and just step to kick. It's completely up to you. Does that make sense? Depending on where you are with your opponent. So from here, they're coming in, they're attacking on about a 30-degree angle this direction. So this is my 90. This is about a 30, right? They're coming in from here. So adjust, kick, hit, and then relax, right, from here. The next action is simply grab them. You can imagine you just hit them in the face, grab them by the gi or the pants or whatever. You can even grab them by the pants if you want, and just pull and step and turn. Good. Now, our last opponent is going to come in this particular case, they're going to come in on this angle here. So what you're going to do is we're just going to block and counter, 1, 2, like so. Then switch, 1 and 2, like so. Then knee, then turn. And then that's the end. That's our three opponents that we've just fought and dropped. Does that make sense? So what we can do is we can flow this together into a fake fight sequence dealing with three people. Want to do it again? Okay, and again, I know I'm asking, normally I'd have a couple of humans in there and we'd be doing it, with humans. It's me, myself, and I, unless I get my 7-year-old, my wife, and my dog, or my 80-year-old mother, right, I'd better not do that, right? Yeah, Matt's all excited about it, right? Okay, so from here, first opponent's coming in, they're coming in straight on. From here, cut the angle, get them, lay and punch. Each, 1, 2, then step 1. Then from here, just simply step through. Good, our next opponent is coming from over here. Adjust, use your front leg, either back or forward, to be able to line yourself up for the kick that you want and be able to drive it in. Step, hit, empty. Then push them through, turn. Good. Our next opponent is coming in from this angle, almost at 90 degrees to us. Simply step, roll, hit, 1. Then switch, 1, 2. then knee, one, then turn. Good, then of course we can come back to our original position. Does that make sense for everybody? Fun? Okay, so what I'm going to do is only going to be 3 counts. On the first count, you're simply going to be here. It's going to be ish, boom, boom, then step. Right? Second count, step, oh, boom, bam, boom, throw, step. Right? Fourth count, okay? This is for you. Okay, let's try. I'm going to keep my back to you. I'm going to be moving slowly so that if anyone's lost, you can follow, okay? But the rest of you just go at speed. Just go 1, 2, 3. Ready. Each. Knee. Sun. Good. And back. Ready? Slow again. 1, 2, 3. 3 counts. I'll give you the ability to go quick in a couple of minutes, right? Let's get the pieces, then we'll get the flow. Hey, ready? Each. Knee. Sun. Good. Hey, yummy. Again. Each. Knee. Sun. Good, and back. Okay, let me watch you guys do it. 1, 2, 3, count still. Go slow, go smooth. Smooth will give rise to fast. But you've got to be smooth and no awkwardness to start. Hey, come in. Each. Knee. Sun. Good. And back one more time. That's good. So again, think about the major principles that we talked about when we were doing each one in a Kihon sense, right? You know, when you're here, just because this leg's out, still just feel, oh yeah, there's the action that you want. Also, when you're moving in a more Jiu sense, you don't necessarily need all this out because it's already out. Do you know what I mean? When I'm in Yoi, I'm here, right? So this is why I need to bring my hands up at the beginning, right? This is when I'm standing around and finger up my bum stance, or I'm drinking orange juice, beer, orange juice, right? I need to get my hands up quick. But when I'm in Kamae, I'm already there, my hands are up. So now from here, just feel the connection, body to hip. You see what I mean? And take those same principles in play, yeah? Take those same principles to where you want them to be. That feels good. Then just carry on. Come on. Turn. Next person. Right? As soon as they're done. Right? So have the intent of the action behind what you want to do, yeah? Again, ready? Come on. Each. Knee. Sun. Good. And coming up. So a couple of little things just to think about. Remember, you want to mirror what you're doing with your opponent. So at the moment, this is really embarrassing. It's okay, I must embarrass myself at least once every class. At the moment, I'm watching on Disney Plus with my son this show called Big Shot. And it's about a basketball coach who has anger issues, and he's coaching a girls' high school team, right? And in it, he goes, you're going to learn my way of learning basketball from the ground up. And he has them basically doing drills without the ball. So they just pass and then move and then pass and then move, and they're doing it without having the ball in place, right? Without having the real stimulus, the piece. But the thing is they ask him in that, why are you doing it? And he goes, what it does is it allows them to develop the stimuli, the muscle coordination without the pressure of having to catch the ball. It's the same deal here, right? When you're doing kata, you're developing those neurological pathways. And when we're doing this, even though it's stupid and feels weird when you're by yourself, you're developing those neurological pathways to be able to do this when you have a human. We've covered all different variations for someone short or someone small, and you should be actively employing those as you do this. But what you don't want to do is don't suddenly forget that you have an opponent. You know there's somebody here, you know you've just thrown them down here, so feel that guide as you go. My hands still follow them, right? Miyamoto Musashi said, when in combat, make your sword stick to his. If you've got a threat there, you ideally want to be touching them as much as you can. If you're in touching distance, then you know what they're going to do, yeah? So even here, when I make the next one, this sort of bang, bang, right? As I go, you know the person's here, they're probably crumpling right here because they've just been elbowed in the face, right? But what you want to do is as you step, just guide them past you as you make that turn. Don't just sort of bang, and they just collapse and you step. Make sure they go. Or even use this next technique, Tiki Shodan, right? You're grabbing hold of somebody's freaking head and bouncing it off their hip. So here, I've just hit them. Use that action to make sure they go down. Do you know what I mean? All of these variations exist, right, within what you're doing. But don't just sort of leave them and assume everything goes according to plan. James Bond knows that doesn't work, right? So as you make these steps, feel, throw, and then turn. Immediately, you know that that person's done because you felt them go down. You know their face is in the concrete. Now I can deal with this other person. And they go, oh, wow, you know? So pay attention to that. Pay attention to that extra little bit of stimuli that you need. A lot of you have got the good feel in the actions, but in the transition between opponents, you're trusting everything went according to plan. Don't. Okay, here we go again. Come on. And through. Land step on. Knee on. Boom. Bam. Push. Sun. Good. One more time, 3 counts. Ich. Knee. Sun. Good, and up. Good. And then the last piece is I'm just watching some of you. You're going a little bit too fluidly through your stances, right? Make sure that you make kime at the points where you want to make impact. Do you know what I mean? Don't just slap your way through the technique. Don't just from here sort of go, oh, look, you know, and don't actually make a stance. Make sure that you're like the string puppet, like my pirate. Arr, matey, right? You're going in transition, then boom, and then immediately into transition, then boom, then immediately into boom, right? You've got to have this at the point of contact, for that split, 1/100 of a second. You have to form perfect stinking kokutsu or zenkutsu that's all connected together. Do you know what I mean? For that 1 split second, use your Kihon training to get that, and then make this part of the individual shorter and shorter. Do you know what I mean? As you get better and better. So you're more like this, right, as you move, but you still have this, 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 this. You see what I mean? And this piece becomes smaller and smaller just when you're in contact with the person. Pump, then go. Pump, then go. Pump, then go. You see what I mean? As you go. But you've got to have the pump piece there. Okay, again, 3 counts still. 2 more times, because I do want to go through the kata as well today, just to hammer the story home. Ich! Ni! Some! Good, and back. Excellent, again. 1 more, 3 counts. Ich! Knee! Some! Good. Now, ikido, 1 count. Fluid through the whole thing. Ready? Hey. Hey. Good. Again. And again. Don't rush. Don't rush, right? If smooth, so much better than fast and wrong. Okay, ready? Here we go. Ich. One more. Ish. Good. One more. I just want to watch you all. Ish. Good. Heian. Okay, so Heian Yondan is a kata. It teaches you a couple of things that are really critical at that time in your green belt life. One of them, and the most important, is center control. And if you noticed, a lot of the applications that we talked about, just by happenstance, funny that, were about center control, about body positioning, positioning your center the correct distance away from your opponent. And that's what Heian Yondan goes after. It goes after good center control as in sort of lateral distancing. Right, no problems, Robin. It controls about good center distancing, right, from your opponent, but it also controls good timing of your body as well. Right, both these things need to be taken into play. So let's go through Heian Yondan, the kata itself. Right? Because that's all of today's class is inspired by Heian Yondan. Right? That's the point. Right? So the whole class was Heian Yondan, effectively. And I just, at random, when I was in the shower this morning, picked 3 parts that I thought, oh, these make good stories, each individual piece, and I can tie them together easily enough. So I did it, right? So now let's put it into the context of the entire kata itself. Right? And I'll highlight many of the points that I made when we're doing this either freely or out of Kihon Ippon, right? To show you where and how they fit within the context of the entire kata. Okay, so from here, everybody knows it who's on, I assume. So from here, nice and relaxed. Hey. Hey. Ni. Some, she, go, half step, oh, shich, hach, kyu, ju, h, ni, sam, shi, go, oh, shich. Good, yummy. Good, so you can see you have a huge variety of techniques I could have selected from for today, right? But I only chose 3. When you're training yourself or at your dojo or you're teaching class, because there's many black belts in the room, what I taught you today was me just coming up with something in the shower. There is nothing that stops you from coming up with the same principle as what I'm doing here. Does that make sense? What we did today is not stuck in stone. This is not kata or JD or blah 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 dimet. This is just JD doing karate and relating principles together. Any of you can do that. Does that make sense? I've just given you a template of thought, not a template of action. Right? Okay, so with that, let's just go through the kata. So from here, first action is really just setting things up. I thought about doing this into the motion. We're not into the actions that we're doing, but I thought, yeah, this is so much more fun just to do in the kata itself. Really pay attention as you squeeze out that you simply drop your body center straight down, right? You want this feeling, just drop. And then allow the hands and the arms to operate simultaneously as they go. Okay, so from here, each. Good. Now from here, drop the arms. Some people do the change in stance here. That's fine as well. I just do it the other way around because I'm a weirdo. Now, because I like the sense of my center and my hands moving together. And that to me feels good. Now from here, your hands are already loaded. Just let them remain here and make Garambalai and punch. Right? This principle, if here, load, transfer the weight, bend this leg, and then push. 1, 2. Notice my hip action. Watch. 1, 2. Hami Shoman. It's exactly 1, 2. What we were doing before. Okay? Right. So from here, each, boom, boom. Now from here, feel it come in. And again, in this case, I'm doing it as a throw, but does it have to be a throw? No. What you could be doing is just hit him in the face. Now I just step in and drive this uppercut him straight under the chin. As he arches back, I then hit him again, probably in the groin in this case, or into the solar plexus. You see what I mean? Then from here, remember we did a step through at this point? Well, look at this movement, the next movement in the kata. It's already there. We just carried it through to its natural conclusion. You see? None of this is different. Let's try that line again. Each, knee. Now from here, feel just the straight expansion up, kick, place and push. Right, remember, this is the example if they're exactly in distance. Boom. Right, we just went. Now, what happens if they're too far away? Yeah, cut a half step, you break the distance and carry on with the same action. That is the same as what we were doing here when you shifted forward and did the kick. There is no difference. You see what I mean? The principle is the same. From here, I elected not to do the next part for today's class. So from here, we'll just do that according to normal. 1, 2, right? 3, kick, push, and down. The next part, I elected not to do it for today's class. I could if I didn't. From here, turn, smooth and down. Then kick, bang, bang. Then up and down. Kick, bang, bang. Now from here, this falls into what we were doing in class. And I chose this one purposefully because making 3 frickin' Maroto-ukes make no frickin' sense. If it's blocking and they're stepping back and they're punching like this, that makes no sense. So what could we be using them for? You can see, grab, I can hit them, I can turn them over and lock them down, which gives me now the ability to hit the empi if I want. The hizagiri if I want, right? But now you have a variety of techniques from what we did with the 3 Maroto-ukes in our sequence to choose from in your applications you go down, and then you know now how to finish them off. You see what I mean? So from here, right, make the Maroto each on 1, 2, then 3. Now shift, drive it, then step. And then the last step, maybe there's someone in front of you, maybe there isn't, or maybe you just want to do a chinte. Instead of doing this, you do this. Because now my opponents are far away from me. My natural reaction would be bang, turn, get away, then watch. Right? Chinte's everywhere. You see it all over the place. Do you know what I mean? And that could be one of the many of that step. Right? People who make fun of the hops and say they're not useful, there's always a use. Alright? Right, let's do the kata one more time. Again, think about applying, right? So I've given you a window. Those who train with me in the mornings always say, we don't do enough application. We need to know the application. All we've done today is application, right? In many different ways. But notice the thing is notice how they fit within the principle of the kata. Notice the techniques themselves are not that critical. What is the principle of body positioning, center control that you learn and gain from Heian Yondan. That's what's critical here. Does that make sense? So let's do Heian Yondan. Aioi. Each. Ni. Sam. Shi. Go. Ro. Shich. Hach. Q. Ju. Eich. Ni. Sam. Shi. Go. Ro. Shich. Hach. Yummy. Good. Switch. Right.